About a year ago, I made this video on Matthew Nicol, why and who planned it. Matthew Nicol was murdered, and who planned it and why. And I thought I knew everything. I saw David Foreman-Taylor was talking to the police about a year ago, but it wasn't until I saw that Tyler Grafing was finally arrested, and I could read his the information that he was given to the state's attorney, and boy did that give me a huge 180 and say, whoa, did I get it wrong? So let's go over and take a look at who it actually was. You'd be surprised. The reason why I'm saying it's wrong is not because of why, because we knew it was money, but who planned it and who was in charge. Here's a clip of the past video where I'm wrong.
The three younger guys, Davila, Cabanis, and Taylor, I believe that these guys were swindled by one of them into getting involved in this. And Harrison, he's no frickin' peach, but I don't think he's the mastermind. I think it was none other than Brian Vogel.
The other video was about why, which we know is money, and who planned it, but didn't include who was in charge. And usually it would be like, who wanted to get the money the most? And to me it was Brian Vogel. And how I could point that finger at is because of David Foreman-Taylor's testimony, where he said that Brian was owed $30,000 and that he got the van. Later it was revealed that Brian had the suppressor and he's the one that shot Mako, the dog. But I wasn't 100% certain, but I know whoever had the most money invested into it was probably the one who was calling the shots. My new opinion is based off the testimony from this guy, Tyler Grafing, who names Anthony Davila as the guy that planned this, and that Chase Harrison is the one that financed it and was calling the shots. My opinion changed after reading Tyler Grafing's interview with the state's attorney's office and the sheriff's office. He gives up 38 different times, and I stopped counting there, where that Davila was the planner and Harrison was also, he financed it and he was in charge. Now, this information is all free and it's public access and anybody can see it. Don't take my word for it. Go read it yourself. How I got it, just Google searched Brevard County Clerk of the Court and clicked on Case Search. The county's page comes up and circled in red is what I clicked on. That's public records. You just sort of keep clicking through next, circled in red, but eventually you're going to get to this page that asks for who you're looking for. So there you see I entered Tyler Grafing. I changed the from date to 2000. It gave me up this, everything that he's been in trouble with. And so the lower left, you'll see the link to the case files, and that's what we're looking for. And in the case files in particular, we're looking for something with the most amount of pages. This is the column pertaining to that. So there you see there's 116 pages in that document, and all you do is click on the icon with the little folder. That gives up everything that Tyler said to investigators at that particular date on May 11, 2021. He was arrested on May 22nd, 2022, and that must mean that they found out more information that Tyler didn't divulge. He didn't get off scot-free. He is doing prison time. And that's a frickin' another video that does not make me happy one bit, but let's see what he had to say. I was going to make a video about each and every point that Tyler brought up, but that would be just way too long. Instead, let's look for where Tyler says specifically who planned it and who was in charge. Tyler knew Matt and had been over to his house once, but knew him from the clubs and stuff. So Davila didn't know him, and this is where he's asking, does he know Matt? Does he know all of them in the house? And Tyler replies, yes, he does. Page 8 is where Tony is asking Tyler what is the layout of the house, how it was set up. Page 9, once again being grilled by Tony, he wanted to know the layout, and he understood why, is that they wanted to rob it, and they had asked on multiple occasions. On page 10, Tyler is asked again by the investigators of how did he know to go to the meeting. And where was it? Well, it was at Chase's house and said everybody was there. But guess who called him? It was Tony. Tony called him, and when they got there, everybody's there. And who took charge of the conversation, he's asked. Tyler gives up that it was Chase and Tony. Tyler is asked who was in charge of planning, and he says, gives up Tony first and says, oh, wait a second, Tony and Chase. I think it was specifically Tony, because Tony was the one that repeatedly went before this incident to Tyler and asked him over and over about getting into the house and what the layout was. Bottom of page 12, and throughout 13, investigators want to know about the guns. Tyler divulges that Chase bought the guns and Tony is the one that told him about it. Page 14, Tyler continues about what Chase purchased from the guy in Georgia. That would be the vest, the guns, the suppressor. He's pretty sure of it because Tony told him and Chase told Tony. Page 15, Tony tells Tyler that Brian had rented the van. Bottom of page 19 and the top of page 20, it says, who mentioned him as a target? Tony, that's what he was going for. Chase, all of them, that's who they wanted. To me, it seems like Tony was going to each person individually and explaining the plan. Page 21, the investigator wanted to know why were they getting patches, and Grafing responds so they wouldn't shoot back. The investigator asks, who said that? And then Grafing says, well, that was Chase. That was Chase's planning. Page 24, since Tyler followed in the black Escalade, the investigators are asking, well, who told him? Well, that was Tony and Chase. Page 26, when Tyler's asked, well, who selected the time in the morning? Well, none other than Chase and Tony. So the investigator knew that Tyler had been over to Matthew's house, and so he's asking Tony, well, did you tell Tony about Matthew's dog Mako? And Tyler said, no, I didn't tell him. He already knew about it because Tony was following Matt on Snapchat. He wasn't communicating with him, but he was following him. This alludes to that Tony was doing it for a long while, gathering information, looking for a weakness. In other words, he was the main guy planning it. On page 46, Tyler explains that Tony came over and quote-unquote broke everything down, everything what happened. Page 48 explains that Tony came over to Tyler's place and told him that Chase broke down the gun and threw it into different bodies of water. Page 51 and 52 is kind of chilling because we know Tony was rattled from page 46, and that later on this, the investigator asked, did they have any conversations? Well, he says no, but oh, wait a second. Tony brought me over to Chase's house and they asked me, like, are you good? If anything happens, Chase will pay for your attorneys or whatever. Well, Chase never did. And the point of this meeting might have been to size him up. Is he nervous? Is he going to say anything? Who knows? They might have been plotting to kill him. Page 56 is a bombshell. And this is where the investigator wants to know about the split, who's getting what. And Tyler says, well, I don't know. I just know that Tony and Chase are getting the most. Well, why is that? And Grafing says, because Tony was planning it pretty much, and Chase put up all the money for the guns and stuff, and the vests and everything. I could go on and on about this, but the investigator asks about the meeting before they went in and where Tyler draws the map, and who does he give it to? He gives it to Chase. So why did he give it to Chase? Because Chase was in charge. He wasn't the oldest. He was the one that put up the money, so that puts him in charge. Page 61, Tyler alludes that it was Tony and Chase planned the March 3rd date. Page 73 shows that Chase gave Tyler the keys and told him to drive the Escalade. On page 80, this shows the subconscious mindset of Tyler. And this is when he was following Corey back to Corey's house in the U-Haul. Corey was driving the U-Haul, and Corey's supposed to put it inside the garage. Well, it wouldn't fit. So in a panic, who does Tyler tell Corey to call? None other than Chase. He doesn't say to call Tony. He says to call Chase because Chase is in charge. Chase was calling the shots. So I didn't include everything, but I did find this excerpt on page 86 finally with this Agent Minthorn from the sheriff's office. She does not mess around. She comes down to the brass tacks. The matter says, well, who asked you to be a part of it and when? It was Tony, and it was around December 2020. Page 87, this Agent Minthorn from the sheriff's department gets Tyler to divulge that on line 13 and 14, it says that I knew it was him. Tony and Chase planning it because Tony told me. There's an overwhelming amount of evidence that points that Davila was planning it and Chase was in charge because he put up the money. Tyler's records show that Davila's the biggest scumbag on the face of the earth because he's the one that planned it. He used Snapchat to stalk Matt. He didn't communicate with him on Snapchat. He knew about Matthew's dog Mako because of Snapchat. He befriended Tyler because Tyler knew Matt and he'd been inside the house and got him to draw a picture from the layout of the home. He probably also used other friends to gain their knowledge about the house, so indirectly they contributed. I'm sure they're furious. But he also led the conversations and set up meeting times with the other scumbags involved in this, making him the main planner. How I can point the finger at Chase being in charge is because, look what he did. He bought the plan from a 2-bit low-life ex-con, Tony Davila. And then financially, he bought the farms, the outfits, and came up with the idea of the patches, and that's what got other people willing to do it. He also got Tyler to drive the Escalade. He led the meetings with Tony, and he had Tony bring over Tyler afterwards to see if he was good after the murder. That clearly paints a picture of he was the guy that was in charge, and he was the guy calling the shots. So there you have it. Davila was the planner, had been planning it for months. Chase was in charge because he financed it. He bought into Davila's bullshit and got these other saps to go along with it. This got Matthew Nicol murdered, and they're going to pay for it with their freedom. Rotten hell, scumbags.